The frozen moon of Valcor 9 had never seen anything quite like Captain Rhea Vorn. She stood at the edge of the crystalline forest, her breath forming small clouds in the sub-zero air, watching the pack circle her position. They had been stalking her since nightfall, massive, six-legged creatures with fur that shimmered like starlight, and eyes that glowed an eerie silver in the darkness. Alpha Core moved with calculated precision, his pack of 15 spreading out in a perfect hunting formation. He had tracked thousands of prey across these frozen wastes, but never had he encountered something like this two-legged creature. It stood upright, unafraid, its strange coverings providing warmth against the killing cold. Most prey ran. Most prey screamed. This one simply watched them back. Rhea's ship had crashed 3 days ago, her distress beacon damaged beyond repair. The United Earth Colonial Marines would send a rescue team eventually, but eventually could mean weeks on this remote moon. She had salvaged what she could: a thermal blanket, a broken plasma cutter, and enough ration bars to last a month if she was careful. What she hadn't salvaged was her weapon cache, currently buried under 12 tons of twisted metal and ice. The pack had found her on the second night. She made no threatening moves as Alpha Core approached, his massive form easily twice her size. His pack communicated in low, rumbling growls that vibrated through the frozen ground. Rhea had studied xenobiology at the academy. She recognized pack behavior when she saw it. They were testing her, probing for weakness, trying to understand what she was. "Easy there, big guy," she said softly, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "I'm not here to hurt anyone." Alpha Core's ears twitched at the sound. The creature made noises, vibrations in the air that meant nothing to him, yet carried a strange calm. His instincts screamed predator, but something else whispered caution. This creature showed no fear, and fearlessness in prey usually meant danger. The standoff continued through the night. Rhea sat down, cross-legged, maintaining eye contact with the alpha but not staring aggressively. She had learned this technique from old Earth wolves. Her great-grandmother had worked with them in the Yellowstone Restoration Project centuries ago. Dominance without aggression, respect without submission. As dawn approached, something changed. A sound pierced the frozen silence, high-pitched mewling cries that made Alpha Core's entire body go rigid. Rhea recognized it instantly. Distress calls, young ones in danger. She was on her feet before she consciously decided to move. The pack, scattered, confused by her sudden action, but she wasn't running away. She was running toward the cries. Alpha Core reached the frozen ravine first, his powerful legs carrying him across the ice with practiced ease. Below, wedged in a crevasse, were 3 cubs, not from his pack, but from the rival Shadowfang clan. Predator cubs, born with instincts to hunt before they could properly walk. They must have wandered from their den and fallen through the thin ice. The pack surrounded the ravine, but the walls were too steep, too slick with ice. Alpha Core growled in frustration. These were not his cubs, but the law of the pack was ancient. All cubs deserved protection. Then the human arrived. Rhea assessed the situation in seconds. The cubs were maybe 30 feet down, trapped on a narrow ledge above a much deeper drop. The pack couldn't reach them, but she could. She pulled out the thermal blanket, tested its strength, then began fashioning a crude harness. "Hold this," she said, handing one end to Alpha Core. The massive creature stared at her, then at the blanket. Something in her tone, her body language, her absolute confidence made him clamp his jaws around the material. What happened next would become legend among the packs of Valcor 9. Rhea descended into the ravine, the pack holding the makeshift rope above. Alpha Core planted his weight, his packmates adding their strength. The human moved with careful precision, reaching the cubs despite their frightened hisses and snaps. She wrapped them in her thermal jacket, speaking in those strange, soothing tones, and one by one, the pack pulled them up. By the time she climbed back to the surface exhausted and shivering, the sun had risen fully. Alpha Core stood before her, the 3 cubs huddled at his feet. He made a sound, not a growl, but something else, something that sounded almost like respect. Rhea sat down heavily, her muscles burning from the effort. "You're welcome," she panted. The cubs approached her first. Still wrapped partially in her jacket, carrying her scent, they wobbled toward her on unsteady legs. Before she could react, they climbed onto her lap, then her chest curling up against her warmth. Their tiny bodies vibrated with purring, a sound that made Alpha Core's eyes widen. Predator cubs did not purr. They did not show affection. They were born killing machines, designed by evolution to be perfect hunters from birth. Yet here they were, sleeping peacefully on the human's chest. Alpha Core sat down, his pack surrounding them in a protective circle. He watched the human, this strange, fearless creature who had descended into danger to save cubs that were not even her own, who had worked with his pack as if she were one of them, who now cradled predator young as if they were her own offspring. Rhea felt the weight of the cubs, their warmth spreading through her cold, numbed body. She looked up at Alpha Core, saw something shift in those silver eyes. Understanding. Acceptance. "Guess I'm part of the pack now," she murmured, allowing herself to relax for the first time in 3 days. Alpha Core huffed in agreement. This human was strange, weak in some ways but strong in others. She had proven herself in the oldest way known to any pack, through sacrifice and courage. The cubs had accepted her as one of their own, and in doing so had made her family. When the rescue team finally arrived 2 weeks later, they found Captain Rhea Vorn sleeping in a cave, surrounded by a pack of alien predators. 3 cubs were curled on her chest, and the massive Alpha lay beside her, his body providing additional warmth. The pack didn't attack the rescuers. Alpha Core simply watched as the human slowly stood, carefully placing the cubs with their adopted pack mother. "You coming, Captain?" the rescue sergeant asked, his weapon nervously trained on the pack. Rhea looked back at Alpha Core. The massive creature met her gaze, and something passed between them, a understanding that transcended species. She nodded once to him, a gesture of respect and farewell. "Yeah," she said finally, "but I'll be back." As her shuttle lifted off, Rhea watched the pack return to the forest. Alpha Core paused at the tree line, looked up at the ascending ship, and howled, a sound that his pack echoed, a sound that she somehow understood meant, "You will always have a place with us, sister of the pack." In the end, humans had not conquered Valcor 9 through force or technology. They had done it the way their ancestors had done it on Earth millennia ago, through compassion, courage, and the universal language of protecting the young. That was the human way. That was what made them special among the stars.